everybody. How we doing? How we doing, Robert?
Good, good, good. Welcome to Truckin' with Bob.
Trucking with Bob. I'm Billy, President, CEO,
I'm
Four
Bob.
Keys Logistics, and this is Bob, one of my lead dispatchers. We're talking truck every day. We're on here. We're talking about the markets, what we're seeing, what's happening, where the money's at, all the good things, everything you guys need to know to run your truck. So, if you like what you see, go ahead and like and subscribe, and yeah, tune in daily for these shows. What are you seeing out there, Robert? Anything new? Anything changing from yesterday?
I've had to jump my trucks kind of out of the Midwest and run that southeast to North Carolina or Midwest to North Carolina to bring up our rates. East Coast is always nice for that, so that's where we're at. Everything else though pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Um, we're in the nearing the end of the third quarter. I guess we're kind of in the middle of it right now, right?
Well, we just
Um,
we just started the third quarter. We into the second
oh, we did just
quarter.
start.
Yeah. So things are.
So
We're just coming out of
we're on
that
the up.
Fourth of July slump, but this is an interesting chart that I got up here. Can you guys see that? Yep. So if you look at the year-over-year comparisons in the market, you can see year-over-year change from last year. We're 77% higher than we were last year as far as rates go on the spot market. You can see the contracted freight rates. We're 22% over where we were last year, but the projections are that we're going to be heading down. And if you read more into this data, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about have we reached the peak yet, and are we going to start turning downward? And the question is, nobody really knows, but it looks like as far as what we're seeing, things are remaining kind of elevated but flat. There's no more upward
Yeah.
momentum over the last few weeks. It's just kind of been flat. So the dry van average outbound tender rejection rates have been steady for the last 10 days at 22 to 23%. So we could be seeing the climax here. We'll see where this
On a
thing goes.
side note, that's kind of fun to say year over year, yoy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yo
that's
yo. Yeah,
yoy.
so the yo-yo is 77%. So yeah, it's been,
Yeah,
and these are
but
rate
that is a
forecasts
scary
from,
chart.
yeah, this is from DAT. This
That
is
keeps
all,
going up.
yeah,
It's got to come down.
yeah. What goes up must come down. And they were saying that there was 100,000 or 90,000 more owner operators that had joined or signed up for their own authority in the last year, and the capacity is the
Well,
highest
here's
they.
the thing, though. They're still saying that there's a deficit in the driver market. So are these drivers coming from these big carriers and deciding to ixnay the super companies and
Well,
go work for themselves?
you hit the nail on the head, man, because that's what they're saying is that it's a bunch of owner operators. It's the same owner operators that were running under these larger fleets that have decided to go out and get their
Yeah.
own authority, and now they run on their own, and they're running more spot freight markets, and they're running on the
Hell yeah.
dedicated for these large carriers, and that's why the large carriers are rejecting more loads than they have in the past. So it's a reshuffling. It's not really added capacity, and I think that's what we're seeing in the numbers. Is we're not really adding the capacity to the market. We're just kind of moving guys out from underneath these large
Yeah.
companies as lease operators into their own authorities as an owner operator. So that's what's happening.
Kind of a
But
toss up for the market and the numbers too, with all that information. Like you're going to have new guys coming into the market taking lower rates and old companies that are big rejecting more loads. It kind of messes with the volume and or the rejection rates that we're seeing too,
yeah,
in concept.
yeah, and so we're seeing everything kind of shuffle around. But as long as people are buying and there's freight to be moved, then there's going to be elevated volumes and there's going to be money to be made. But at some point, you would expect volumes to drop, But we'll see. What we're seeing so far, we're just kind of remaining.
I read an article yesterday that said with the stimulus money and the country reopening, that they expect people to spend a lot more in businesses opposed to consuming at home, and they really haven't seen that. We're still on a consumer trend. We're buying stuff for the house. We're buying new things and opposed to going out to eat and that kind of stuff. So,
They said that
we don't know when this ride will end.
They said the inventory is the lowest it's ever been. So
Yeah,
people are buying, but the backlogs for shipping is 70% higher than it was in the previous year. So that means that, to get your freight moved, you just got to get in line, because everybody's trying to
essentially.
move a bunch of freight all the time, and
Yeah,
you see it in the rates, the truck goes to the highest bidder. So if
yeah, yeah. It really does.
you got enough money in the load, then it'll get moved. If you're trying to cheap out and skimp out on your freight charges, well, get in line. You're gonna be waiting a while. Somebody's gonna have to be wanting to go to where your load goes pretty bad to take a less than desirable rate. Um,
Yeah, it's really a trucker's market out there, you know.
Tender rejections are the same. We're still seeing elevated tender rejections down here in the Jacksonville market. I know we were talking to one of our dispatchers yesterday, and he said, the Savannah market has kind of dried up a bit. According to these numbers, there's still opportunity down here. Maybe not as much, but the Shreveport market. What are you seeing in the Shreveport market, Bob? I know you got a couple trucks running out of
Oh man,
Louisiana.
I just bounced a truck out of there actually right now. Headed back up towards Ohio. For that distance spread, we got $3 a mile.
Yeah,
Great load. Can't really complain. I had another gentleman run out of closer to the Baton Rouge area, Fort Berry. Uh, Go hit North Carolina. We're looking at $3 a mile, man. It's a strong area. I definitely utilize it as one of my key tools. It's a nice distance. You can really put down 1,000 miles between a few different places. You can hit Kansas City for like 6, 7, Minnesota, Ohio, Wisconsin, all that for 9 to 1,000 on the miles, and it's great for a guy. He doesn't have to bump docks every day, and he can get $3 a mile. Only 1,500 on average in 2 days is great,
yeah, yeah, and
or 1,500 a day
we're
times two.
we're
Three
seeing that.
grand.
We're seeing that down here in the South. This isn't typically a good area to run, but look at the blue here in Dallas. Dallas is picking up. It's been bad for the last couple
Yeah.
weeks, but it's not anymore. Looks like you can get some freight out of there, and we have some elevated rejections right here in Shreveport, right next to Dallas. So, uh,
That market too pulls in the Tyler, Texas market, which is separate from Dallas. It's kind of no man's land, and it's 100 miles east of Dallas. So if you're over there, you're going to get a little bit more money because not a lot of trucks are landing over there. It's rural Texas in that area.
yeah, yeah, that's
So
true too. If you want to make money, the trick is to find a market that you can deliver into that's less than desirable, and typically you
yeah,
see that here, and then you just jump over into a better market with a little bit of deadhead to get a good paying rate. So anywhere you see,
well,
like
that's the
these,
thing.
yeah,
You can get a couple $100 extra to go into Tyler versus Dallas,
yeah,
and at a couple $100 extra, they're paying you $2 a mile to run the 100 miles to go get loaded in Dallas, or you can cruise over 100 miles to get loaded in Shreveport. And according to your little chart right there, which is what I'm seeing in real life, that's a great area to be in. It's not a
yeah.
bad area. I mean, 250 to $3 a mile coming out of there, depending on where you're trying to land. Obviously, you're not going to go west for that rate, though.
And we're talking
So,
real numbers. We're talking about numbers that Bob, you put on a truck today. I know we have a truck in Shreveport.
oh yeah,
I seen them. These are not numbers we're pulling. We're just pulling out of our pockets. Okay, these are numbers that we're seeing in real time off of loads. So,
you know
uh,
me, I'm a realist. I like to be conservative. Whenever we're talking with guys, we were just talking about these 90,000 new company owners. Those are essentially our customers, and I'm a realist. I try not to sell high. I'd rather sell you for $2.50 and deliver with $2.80 opposed to coming up short. But that's just me.
yeah, and that's me too. I'd rather under promise and over deliver than over promise and under deliver all day long.
Definitely.
And,
Yeah,
and and that's kind of
seems to be
how that's how we roll over here
what
too.
sets us aside in the industry compared to some of these bigger companies because they'll sell you a dream and then deliver a nightmare.
Well, that's the trick. Hey, come on board with us. You'll keep 70% of everything you make, and you're gonna average $2 a mile, whatever. They don't tell you the ugly side is that yeah, you're gonna pay for all your fuel, all your breakdowns. We're gonna load you when we want to load you, and you're gonna run where we want to run you. And if you don't, we're gonna punish you with no loads, and you're gonna sit. And we may not even be giving you
Yeah.
the percentage we promised we were gonna give you because you have no way of verifying that information. So, good luck. Have fun
Uh, come
with those
coming from
leases.
the way that we got to where we're at now, we know what integrity and transparency, the value in that. You know what I mean?
I
We
it plagues our industry. You know, people are out there just trying to take advantage of the new guy. So if you're a new guy and you're
Yeah,
looking for somewhere to land and you don't want to get screwed over by the system, you know, give us a call. Check us out,
yeah,
fourkeyslogistics.com. We can help you. You know, that's what we do. We fight for you. You know,
that is what we're here for.
you put a team in your corner, you know, and you cannot beat that. Having somebody in your corner that knows what they're doing, they're going to protect you and keep you from getting into situations that you don't want to be in, where you're going to lose money. So Kansas City to Chicago, rejection rates picked back up to 23.33%. So if you're in Kansas City, look to go to Chicago. That'd be a good little gym for you today. Anybody in the Kansas City market, start looking what you get up into Chicago. Another one would be Toledo to Charlotte. Rejections are on the rise as the head halt index spikes over 22% week over week. So Toledo to
I
Charlotte.
just I just hit one of those with Byron, actually, and
Did you,
yeah, I think I got like I don't know what his rate is. He's loading it today. Um,
did you
but yeah,
go
like $2.80, I do believe, to go over there.
to that down into Charlotte?
So yeah,
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing. Let me see if I got a rate on here. No, I just have the outbound tender rejection. So this thing typically runs about 14 on the index points. It's up to 21. So it is definitely spiking compared to where it should be. So that just means that there's no capacity in that lane, and that would be the lane you want to run in. You don't want to run with the flock, you know. You don't want to land in Atlanta when 700 other trucks land in Atlanta, because now you're going to be fighting against them for good paying loads, you know.
exactly.
Chances are, if you don't know anybody and you're just calling loads off that, good luck. You're not gonna get some. You got to know
Well,
somebody. So call us. We know people. We'll help you get out of Atlanta for better than average rates.
Altamont, Illinois is over to Oxford, North Carolina. I think Oxford's a little closer to Raleigh than Charlotte, but let's just call it the Charlotte market. We got 2,700 bucks on it.
Yeah, same thing
So
running down in there.
yeah,
So yeah, there's
it's pretty good.
yeah, there's some good stuff going on. West Coast still the same, a little bit dead. You know, I mean, volumes are up, but you know, stick to your major markets on the West Coast, should be fine. I know, like we were talking about yesterday, Bob, you like the L.A. to Phoenix and L.A. to Las Vegas runs, because per mile you just can't beat it. What are you at? You're averaging over $4 a mile on
Dude,
those.
I booked a couple loads for later on this week that go into Vegas that are at like $1,700 for 220 miles.
That's
And the
crazy.
guy is offering me regular freight at that rate. So, I mean, the rates are crazy. And then you're looking at about $2, $3 a mile coming back, just depending on the load and where you go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a good market. I prefer Phoenix and Vegas. I mean, you can always cruise up north to Washington, but it's a lot of miles to come back on for $2 a mile, or you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So
it's one of those things. I like that lane. The problem is getting out of Vegas into back into Los Angeles. But for what they're paying you, why not just deadhead back in there and do it again? You know what I mean?
you can. I mean, but it's so few miles that a guy is only going to run 450 miles a day if he reloads.
Yeah.
Gives you plenty of time to reload, but you got to deal with traffic and all that junk too. It's a
It's
horrible highway out there
it's
for
hard
that.
to time it out. You know, get over there, get a load, get loaded, get back, whatever. You know, it's almost better to just go over, deliver, hit deadhead back, and do it again the next day.
I
Um,
mean,
and the
I
numbers might.
have guys. That's how we run the Phoenix lane. We just bounce over there and run back empty because it eats up a whole day to make $600.
Right.
In peak season, you're still averaging $2.50 with your empty trip back at 300 miles. I mean, we're getting $5 a mile to go out there, so it's great money.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's good. So West Coast, there's a little gym for you on the West Coast, all you West Coasters. So, and Robert, you're running in mostly in a dry van, correct?
Yeah, dude, I operate mostly dry van. I do got one guy that I work with a little bit that runs a flatbed, and then I have another gentleman who runs reefer for me out of the Midwest. But the rest of it, that's all dry van numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. And dry van freight's good. You know, reefer freight. I go back and forth on reefers. You know, you make money with reefers. You make a little bit more money in certain times of the year, but It's one of those things, you got to know somebody if you're gonna really maximize your reefer profits. But if you don't, just get a dry
And if
van.
you're a new carrier, you got extra expenses with insurance and, you got to run diesel. You have maintenance on that reefer unit. If your reefer unit goes bad, you got to deal with all the other stuff. Dry van's a great entry point to get your toes wet, learn
Mm,
it. You meet a few people that can get you in touch with reefer. Call us because we do pretty good with our reefer units that we do run. But you know,
yeah,
I like dry van.
we
That's what
we
I tell all
we
my
run
guys
them.
when they
I
ask.
like dry van myself too. That it's easy. You don't have
Yeah.
the added maintenance of the reefer unit. And you're really not going to see that big of a difference in what you're going to make on that thing. Annually, it's going to be very comparable.
Balances
Um,
out. Because part
so,
of the year you got to put dry van freight in the reefer unit anyways.
so we're 16 minutes in, Bob. I want to try to
Woo.
keep these things under
Well, let's be
under
quick.
20. So
I
let's
mean,
let's look
I
at
don't.
some of our news articles for the week, or for the day,
Yeah,
I
let's
should
do that.
say. What are we seeing here?
Well, let's see. I'm trying to get back to you. I clicked off of it. Bear with me 1 second here, man.
One.
Right there. This was going to be a big topic for me, but we'll cut it short just because we're low on time. The summary of this article is an 80-year-old or 81-year-old gentleman still has his CDL. He rolled through a stop sign, killed a young 39-year-old man in an automobile accident. My question is how old is too old to be driving a truck? At 81 years old, are you operating safely?
It's
I
tough.
mean,
It's tough. I know, like the DMVs, the different in different states, they have different laws surrounding elderly drivers. Once you get to the age of 75 or 72, you're required to take a written test every year. But the older you get, the worse off your
yeah, a
senses
written
get.
test, you can still be shape or sharp in the brain, but get a little bit sleepy, groggy, not as alert at 81 years old. Depth perception, all that stuff plays a factor. And truck driving is it's not as easy as they want to make it seem. You have
Yeah.
things happen all the time. Come around a corner, you're doing 60 miles an hour, you pull up, there's a stop sign, you have a load in the back, it shifts, it pushes you forward an extra 20 feet. They say it takes football field plus the two end zones to stop an 80,000 pound truck.
You got to be on your game. You just don't know when a car is going to slam on the brakes in front of you or cut you off, or
No.
when something happens. That's part of being a Class A professional truck driver, is that you're expected to expect those sort of things.
Yeah.
Be aware that those things happen. It's your responsibility as a commercial driver to do that. Everybody else out there on the road with a Class C who has never been in a truck, they don't understand that you can't stop on a dime. So you have to
No.
know that and give yourself room and expect the unexpected. And it's tough, when you get older, things start deteriorating, including your vision, your ability to react, your hearing, everything. So
Oh yeah. That's all
may,
valuable and it's all
maybe
useful.
maybe his age has nothing to do with what happened here, but maybe it does, and so
It's just a
that's something.
question. It
Yeah.
got my brain growing. How old is too old before you should hang up the keys?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know last week we were talking about the meth that was stuffed in the peanuts, but looks like these guys weren't worrying about the peanuts. They just kind of stuffed a trailer full of pot, huh?
Yeah, these guys are supposed to be hauling a load of aluminum can tops up there. I think it was in Detroit. Yeah, Detroit. 2,500 pounds of marijuana hidden inside of a trailer, disguised
Wow.
as can tops. Now,
I
for
want.
me, that's not very packaged in order to be a can top. I don't know
Yeah.
what they were thinking, but
We see
it's
this
a whole
all.
lot of pot.
We see this all the time, whether they're smuggling, people across the border, or meth, or coke, or pot, or whatever it is. It just, when you got to transport large shipments, what
My
do you
question
put it in
is
a
how
truck?
desperate are these guys that are hauling these loads? The freight's so good out there that you can make an honest living and then haul with integrity without having to deal with this kind of bullshit.
In
I just don't know what encourages a guy to make these choices.
in hindsight,
Do the
I
do the
bet
drivers know about it?
the trucker probably regrets the decision. But yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah. Well, it's a thing, I mean, when you got to move large quantities, a truck would be the obvious answer, but it's a big risk, So if you're out there and this is something you're thinking about doing, just don't do it. You'll regret it.
Yeah,
It's not worth the risk. But yeah, we see it all the time. So,
we really
well,
do.
on that note, we're 20 minutes in here. We're gonna wrap it up. We'll be doing these things daily. Check us out, fourkeyslogistics.com, if you're looking for a good dispatch service. Or if you just have questions, you're looking to get your authority, and you want some questions answered, give us a call. We can advise you and kind of give you the point you in the right direction here. If not, we can help you out getting your authority set up. So subscribe, like, check us out daily. We'll be here, and until tomorrow, we'll see you guys then.
Thanks for trucking.
All right, we'll see you guys.